Hi, I'm ready to branch out from taxes a little bit and talk about Lord of the Rings. I've been obsessed with an idea for a Lord of the Rings sequel. It's somewhat true to the lore, but actually maybe not so much because it's the um, it's the story I want to tell. I have the working title as Christmas in the Shire, which, of course, you really can't use that since they didn't have Christmas in the Shire, but they did have something called Yule Days, and it snowed pretty rarely in the Shire, except in the North Farthings, and hobbits really enjoyed it when it did snow. Um, so. So we can have a happy ending scene as people awaken the Shire to a light covering of snow on the last of the Yule days in 1445. That is 25 years after the magical year of 1420, when among the many children born was Frodo Gamgee. The struggles of Frodo G, now in the difficult period of life hobbits of the Shire called the Tweens, drives the plot of Christmas in the Shire. But the true hero and focus of the film is the most important character from Lord of the Rings who got very little screen time. And that would be Rosie. And you will note that both the movie Return of the King and the book end with Sam, probably the most important male person in the character, returning home to to Rosie and the kids right after he's dropped Frodo off to get on the get on the ship. Uh, this is what's gonna what's gonna happen afterwards, and there's some significant lore about a lot of this, and I'm ignoring quite a bit of it because of the story that I want to tell, which is uh, has maybe some contemporary elements in it. Um, so, what's it all about? Um, Now, I should say that I am a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've read it like many, many times. But the rest of it, and The Hobbit, but the rest of the lore, uh, starting with the Silmarillion, which I bought sometime in the 70s and wasn't able to finish, never quite grabbed me. Um, so what went on in the first age and the second age, and a whole bunch of that stuff, it uh, just doesn't hold me. Uh, I enjoyed the Rings of Power, and it didn't bother me that it played havoc with a lot of the second age lore. I think it's second age, or maybe some of its first age, um, because I didn't care. So I could just look at it as a story, and it was okay. And the elements where they had like Tom Bombadil and these proto hobbits, uh, I kind of appreciated. Now, to get back to the movie, there's one thing that really disturbed me about the movie, and I'm not the only one, and that is that it totally omits um, the scouring of the Shire. Um, there's there's one brief scene, I think, in the extended edition where Sam gets to look in the mirror of Galadriel, and you see this scene of the hobbits kind of being treated as slaves and that sort of stuff. But at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, when they get back to the Shire, it's like they just came home. They've changed, but the Shire hasn't. The Shire hasn't changed. And but in my mind, the Scouring in the Shire was the whole point of the book, because what I saw it about is that the quotidian life of the Shire was the thing that really needed cherishing, and was possibly in some ways even under assault in modern life. Just regular people living on the land and cooperating with one another, and being people, because the hobbits really kind of are people, was what it was about, and the sacrifices that the Frodo and the others who went off had to make, and the fact that they were exposed to all the big world, was to preserve that, was to save it. And here's my evidence from the book. You have to really ask the gaffer, and here's where it is, kind of in the as the scouring part is coming to a crisis, where Sam and Frodo and Merry and Pippin have figured out what's going on and how they're going to be responding to it. And Sam and Frodo are back, seeing Sam's father, the gaffer. "Good evening, Mr. Baggins," he said. "Glad I am to see you back safe. But I've a bone to pick with you, in a manner of speaking, if I may be so bold. You don't never ought to have a sole bag end, as I always said. That's what started all the mischief. And while you have been traipsing in foreign parts, chasing black men out mountains, from what my Sam says, though what for he don't make clear, they've been and dug up Bagshot Row and ruined my taters." "I am very sorry, Mr. Gamgee," said Frodo, "but now I've come back, I'll do my best to make amends." So it was all about the Shire. Both Jackson and as I noted, both Jackson and Tolkien end on the same note, with Sam returning home from his last trip to Rosie and the kids. The quotidian life of ordinary country people is what all the great adventure was meant to preserve, and Sam, inspired by Rosie and the gaffer, play a critical role. Frodo would not have gotten far without Sam. Christmas in the Shire focuses on the emotional labor that women take on in the binding of the nation's wounds and the caring for him who have shall born the battle, and the turning of boys into men who are not total dickheads. Um, the story begins at the funeral about 1443. It is the gaffer. I haven't figured out all the elements, but it will be really emotional. Sam will probably break down or something. Remember, he is he is like the most important guy in the Shire now. Oddly absent from the funeral are Frodo G, Merry, and Pippin. We get a flashback to explain that which will be a good that and that will be a good bit of the film. Remember how tied up Sam is in taking care of the Shire. Re- Rosie reminds him a good bit that he has a son who needs bringing up, and Sam does put in some good fathering, but it is not quite enough. Frodo G has the gaffer, though. He keeps him down to earth and teaches him gardening. Frodo G worships the gaffer when he is very young. As he gets older, though, he becomes more enamored with Merry and Pippin. There is a bit of a tension between them and the gaffer, but the whole social class thing comes into play as the gaffer is deferential. The gaffer is also a bit confused as he sees that his grandson seems destined to a higher place in the world. Rosie has bigger concerns about the influence of Merry and Pippin. No offense, but alcoholics suffering from PTSD are not always the best influence for a young lad. Rosie knows plenty of hobbit lasses who would like to meet Merry, but he has that hopeless crush on Eowyn. There are some serious issues there. Nonetheless, she has to go along with Merry and Pippin, bringing Frodo G on a trip down memory lane as they go to visit Rohan in the Shire. We see it all through Frodo G's eyes. And how is this kid going to be able to settle down in the Shire after all the adulation he experiences in Rohan and Gondor? Fortunately, there are two people who identify the problem pretty quickly. That would be Arwen and Eowyn. That is not to say that Aragon and Faramir should not have figured it out. They just are not that quick about it. I'm not that sure about how things will sequence, but we're now at the end of the flashback, and the story packs up the day after the funeral. The Shire must be a great realm, Master Gamgee, where gardeners are held in high honor. Fight, said Frodo. Um, okay.